In the world of Porsche, one debate stands out: air-cooled versus water-cooled 911s. This isn't just about preference, but about what makes a 911 a true Porsche. Before 1998, all 911 engines were cooled by air flowing over metal fins, a method used since the first Porsche 356. After 1998, with the 996 model, Porsche switched to water cooling using liquid to control engine temperature. This change marked a major shift in 911 history. The pre-1998 air-cooled models, ending with the 993, represent one era. The post-1998 water-cooled models, beginning with the 996, started another. Today, we're examining which type better represents the authentic Porsche driving experience. We'll compare four key aspects: handling, comparing the rear weight bias handling of air-cooled models to the more balanced feel of water-cooled versions; sound, examining the mechanical noise of air-cooled engines versus the more subdued water-cooled engines; reliability, contrasting the straightforward design of air cooling against the more complex but effective water cooling; and market values, looking at how buyers value each approach in 2025. This comparison isn't about which is better in absolute terms. It's about identifying which approach delivers the driving experience most people associate with the Porsche brand. The air-cooled 911 started with the 356 design. Ferdinand Porsche created the first 911 as an evolution of the 356, keeping the rear engine layout and air cooling system. These cars had specific driving characteristics. With the engine behind the rear axle, air-cooled 911s required attentive driving. This weight distribution caused snap oversteer, where the rear would lose traction if a driver lifted off the gas during cornering. This trait made them challenging to drive at the limit. The cooling system was uncomplicated. Without radiators, water pumps, or cooling systems, air-cooled engines used cooling fins and a fan to disperse heat. This design had fewer components and reduced complexity. The engine sound was distinctive. Air-cooled engines produce a specific noise from the fan and the mechanical operation of the flat-six engine. Without water to absorb sound, drivers hear more mechanical noises, creating a direct auditory connection to the engine. The original 911 from 1963 used a 2.0-liter flat-six engine producing 130 horsepower. Engine displacement increased gradually over time, with the 2.4-liter engines of the early 1970s and the 3.0-liter engines of the late 1970s. The iconic 3.2 Carrera from 1984 to 1989 delivered 231 horsepower and improved reliability. Each version retained the core air-cooled design while adding refinements. One key advantage of air-cooled engines was weight savings. Without water jackets, radiators, hoses, and coolant, these engines were lighter than comparable water-cooled designs. The aluminum and magnesium engine components further reduced weight. The torsion bar suspension system also contributed to the car's light feel, with total vehicle weights around 2,400 to 2,800 pounds, depending on the model year and specifications. Air-cooled Porsches developed through several generations. The 964 model in 1989 added power steering and anti-lock brakes while maintaining air cooling. The final air-cooled model, the 993, made from 1995 to 1998, is often considered the most refined version. The 993 improved the air-cooled design with better rear suspension that reduced oversteer while preserving steering feedback. Its 3.6-liter engine produced up to 285 horsepower, which remains respectable performance today. Maintenance focuses on the cooling system and oil. Air-cooled engines rely on oil circulation and airflow for cooling. They require regular oil changes and valve adjustments, but their simpler design makes some repairs more straightforward. Air-cooled 911s provide a direct driving experience. They have manual steering, physical shifters, and minimal electronic aids. This creates a driving environment where the driver receives unfiltered feedback from the car's mechanical systems. By the mid-1990s, Porsche needed to update the 911. The basic design was 3 decades old, and emissions regulations made air cooling increasingly difficult to keep in production. A major redesign became necessary. The 996, introduced in 1998, represented the biggest change in 911 history. This completely new model introduced water cooling and featured new headlights that many fans criticized for their oval shape. The new 3.4-liter water-cooled engine included technologies like variable valve timing and 4 valves per cylinder. Water cooling provided better temperature regulation, allowed higher compression ratios, and reduced emissions to meet regulatory standards. The initial 996 Carrera produced 296 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. This increased to 320 horsepower in the 2002 996.2 update when displacement grew to 3.6 liters. The 996 Turbo, using a different engine design based on the GT1 race car, produced 415 horsepower from its twin turbocharged 3.6-liter flat 6. This Mezger engine design avoided the reliability issues that affected standard 996 engines. The 996 introduced new transmission options. The 6-speed manual gearbox was redesigned for smoother shifting. The Tiptronic automatic transmission offered both automatic operation and manual control, a significant advance over previous automatic transmissions. The 996 also introduced Porsche Stability Management, an electronic system that could apply individual brakes to prevent skids and improve traction. The changes extended beyond the engine. The 996 featured an entirely new body design, the first complete redo since 1963. It was larger yet lighter due to modern materials. The suspension systems were updated with new front struts replacing the previous torsion bar system. These changes produced a car with improved performance, better fuel efficiency, and more predictable handling. The tendency for sudden oversteer was reduced, making the car easier to drive at high speeds. The 996 had some problems. Early water-cooled engines had intermediate shaft bearing issues that could cause engine failure. The interior quality was lower than previous models. Many Porsche enthusiasts felt the engine sound was too quiet compared to air-cooled models. Porsche addressed these issues in later generations. The 997 restored round headlights and better interior materials. The 991 brought another new chassis with improved handling. The current 992 includes advanced technology while maintaining traditional 911 styling cues. Water cooling enabled substantial performance increases. The current 992 Turbo S produces 641 horsepower. Modern PDK dual-clutch transmissions provide faster shifting than manual transmissions. Electronic suspension systems offer both comfort and precise handling. Despite these improvements, water-cooled models differ in driving feel. The steering provides less road feedback due to electric assistance. The engine sound is more controlled and less mechanical. Many Porsche enthusiasts find water-cooled models more capable but less engaging than their air-cooled predecessors. The 2025 market for Porsche 911s shows clear patterns in how enthusiasts value air-cooled and water-cooled models. Air-cooled models, particularly the 993, maintain high values. Well-maintained examples regularly sell for over $100,000, with special models like the Turbo S commanding much higher prices. The limited production 993 Turbo S is especially valuable, with Porsche's Project Gold restoration selling for $3.1 million in 2018. These high prices reflect both rarity and driving characteristics. Air-cooled 911s offer mechanical simplicity, minimal electronic systems, and direct driver feedback that modern cars typically lack. As new vehicles become increasingly computerized, the straightforward nature of air-cooled Porsches attracts collectors seeking a pure driving experience. Meanwhile, early water-cooled models like the 996 are gaining value after years of depreciation. These cars were previously unpopular due to reliability concerns and styling criticism, but their market values are now increasing. This price growth has several causes. First, 996 models provide the lowest entry price into 911 ownership, with good examples available from $30,000 to $50,000, significantly less than air-cooled models. Second, younger buyers who grew up seeing these cars now have purchasing power. Third, the once controversial styling has aged into acceptance as a distinct period in Porsche design. Special models show different trends. The 996 GT3, equipped with the racing-derived Mezger engine, has appreciated considerably, with top examples exceeding $100,000. This model combines modern performance with the more direct driving characteristics that appeal to enthusiasts. Reliability and maintenance differ between cooling systems. Air-cooled engines have fewer components and potential failure points. Properly maintained examples frequently exceed 200,000 miles. However, specialized mechanics for air-cooled models are becoming scarcer, and parts can be harder to source and more expensive. These engines require more frequent maintenance, particularly oil service and valve adjustments. Water-cooled models, excluding early 996 bearing issues that can now be fixed, generally require less frequent maintenance. Modern diagnostic equipment works better with these engines, and parts availability is good. Their cooling systems manage temperature more effectively during extended high-performance driving. The driving experience remains the fundamental difference. Air-cooled models provide more direct feedback, minimal filtering, and require more driver skill. Water-cooled models offer higher performance limits, greater everyday usability, and more refinement. As electric Porsches become more common, both air-cooled and water-cooled gasoline engines may become equally valued as traditional alternatives. The preference ultimately depends on whether a buyer prioritizes direct involvement or technical capability. After analyzing the engineering, driving characteristics, and market position of both air-cooled and water-cooled 911s, we can assess which better represents the essential Porsche experience. Air-cooled models offer specific advantages. They provide direct driving feedback without electronic filtering. Their engines create distinctive mechanical sounds. They require and reward driver skill. Their basic design philosophy emphasizes simplicity and driver connection over maximum performance. The market confirms their appeal, with values remaining high years after production ended. Which type do you think better represents the authentic Porsche driving experience? The straightforward nature of air cooling or the advanced capabilities of water cooling? What aspects of the 911 do you consider most important, air or water? Vote in the comments and share which approach you prefer.